Welcome back to Let's Unpack This, Sis. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Sasha.
This week, or last week, we unpacked marriage mindsets. This week, we're talking about friendship and growth and why it's not always the same people in every chapter.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this week and see if you can keep your people while you grow or if you outgrow people. So I'm interested to see what you say. What's for dinner tonight?
Um, well, tonight we're really boring. We're going to a birthday party, but our meal plan for the week is ground turkey taco bowls.
Yeah, sounds good.
What are you
We're
guys doing for dinner now
doing,
that you have a partner to help you cook?
I know, Cole's back. So he is marinating some chicken that we're going to grill, and then we got some veggies from the farmer's market. So that's our
Mm.
plan for tonight. Yeah.
Let's just dive into it.
All right. So should we define what growing apart really means?
Yeah.
How would you define growing apart?
Well, so recently, a friend of mine talked to me about the three pillars. So, have you read Let Them Yet by Mel Robbins?
No, not yet.
So, also has a podcast. And in one of her episodes on her podcast, she talks about the three pillars of friendship, especially in adult friendship. And those pillars are proximity, timing, and energy. And so, I would feel like growing apart would be if someone doesn't fit in one, no longer fits in one of those pillars, is no longer
So
close to you. Go ahead.
do you have to have all three for a friendship to work, or are they just one, or how does that work?
No, I don't think so. Like proximity is like, do they live close to you physically? Or like, are they, and I think that could also go with, are they easy to access virtually? Like you and I in our friendship, you don't live close to me and we haven't for so long. But that doesn't mean our relationship is outgrown. And then timing is where in your phase of life are you? Like you meet, just say you and I meet someone in their 20s that has no kids and is going to the club and, all that life. Like that's not, they might be a really great person. They might be close to us and they might have, um, the third pillar of like matching their energy, but does that match your energy? Because do you want to club? So I think you can mix and match those pillars, but I think growing apart would be that one of those pillars is fallen or the only pillar or, just those pillars shifted.
Yeah, I think that sums it up perfectly that you can be, in one or all of those pillars with somebody, and then things change and the dynamic of the relationship changes.
Adult friendships are really hard to keep because life happens and those pillars are shifting for everybody, right?
Yeah, and I think that you're always growing and changing. People do change, I believe. And so being able to take people with you through all of your changes and moves and all of that stuff is difficult. And so I think as adults, that's why we often don't have a ton of really close friends. You take a few people with you along the way, I think.
Yeah. So then how would you be able to tell the difference between drifting and intentionally distancing?
I think drifting happens very naturally. Like, one of those pillars probably falls out, like you were saying. You move, or you start having kids, and maybe somebody else didn't, and it just kind of happens organically. I would say that the intentionally distancing is maybe that relationship is no longer serving you, and you're trying to kind of, put some distance between you and that person, but it's not necessarily something that requires like a fight or an argument or something like that. There wasn't really anything that they did wrong that needs to be addressed. It's just no longer serving you.
And that would be drifting, right?
Intentionally
Or would that be
distancing.
intense? Yeah. So intentionally distancing means something a little bit different to me because I feel like when one of those pillars are changing or like I feel that more when your energies aren't matching anymore.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
like I don't know, I think of it more of my perspective. If I were to intentionally distance from someone, it would more to be, I don't know, that they meet the pillar of proximity maybe, but you're purposely trying not, or not trying, but like your energies aren't matching. So you just can't make the time to meet up. I don't know. I feel like intentionally distancing in my brain makes it sounds more cruel, but you said it a lot softer.
Yeah, because I just think, and maybe it is like what you said with the energy thing, is like sometimes I have, no, not sometimes. I do only have a finite amount of energy to expel. And so if a relationship is draining more energy than I can put into it, I don't think that a lot of times I even have the energy to sever it. So I'm just like, I can't put any more energy towards this.
Yeah. With how busy life feels, I feel personally that I unintentionally distance. Um, I think the people pleasing in myself is hard to distance myself intentionally, but it just happens. So I would think that would be more drifting, right?
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
know.
All right, should we get into segment two, opposite lenses?
Yeah.
So I think right now what growth and friendships look like for me in this phase of life that I'm in of, we'd recently moved, and I have three small kids at home. I'm not working right now. I think work was a really big place that I made new friendships previously. I would move, and then that would be an easy place for me to find friends. I Before kids, when I was trying to make friends when I moved to California and lived with grandma the first time, I remember just being like, where do you make friends after college? Like that it was like this perfect environment to make friends, and now where do you make the friends? And I made some friends at work, but not a lot. And so I felt like you would go where you want to meet your friends. Like you have similar hobbies or interests or something like that. And I was, like you said, kind of growing out of like the clubbing phase. I wasn't going to like go to the bars, especially by myself, and try and make friends there. Because then what are you going to do? Just drink with those people all the time. So I was doing yoga. I was really trying. So I'd be like in the dressing room, and I felt like I was just hitting on these girls. Like I would just be like, um, those are super cute leggings. Where'd you get those leggings? And it was really hard to like find an authentic way to come across to make new friends. So, I feel like that way again, being back here and trying to make friends. The same thing is like being like taking my kids to school and trying to find ways to connect with these people in this like little blip of time without sounding like I'm trying to pick somebody up.
Well, I told one of my sister-in-laws once I was describing to her someone had moved away that I like had wanted to be friends with, but she moved. And I told her, I said, being an adult is so hard because like you have a type, just like you have a type in men when you're dating and stuff. Like you also have a friendship type. And I was like, I feel like she was my type. And I felt so creepy. But then she like came to me later and she's like, you're right. Like you have a type in friends and you have a type in romantic relationships. So yeah, I think we're on the same page there.
It's hard. So it is nice and comforting to come back to those friendships that you've had for a long time. Like I have one of my really, really good friends from college who like we'll only check in with each other once every several months, but like I just have this comfort in knowing that she's there. And
Hmm.
when we reach out to the other one, it's never like, why haven't you reached out or whatever? It's just like
Yeah.
right up to speed with each other. And there's just a comfort in knowing I could reach out to her at any time and there would be nothing of like, hey, you haven't checked in. Hey, you have no idea what's going on in my day to day life. So it's just really comforting to have those relationships.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a little bit opposite than this is so weird how I'm opposite of you, but I would think the opposite. So we've talked about before. Like I've always felt like it was easier for you to make friends just because you have so many. Like you have like your sorority, you have your like it's hard keeping up with all the people, but I love every single person in your circle, but your circle's much bigger than my circle. But then I'm that person that I like walk into a building or a place or whatever, and we're all friends. Like I
Yeah.
just like the girl get it in your story, the person next to us in the dressing room or next to me, like automatically we're best friends. Like, oh, I love those leggings. Uh, but one time they made my butt look big, like I like overshare immediately. And there's no, when I met one of my best friends, um, we competed against each other in track, in high school track. She went to a different high school, and you had actually made friends with her first. And then I was competing at one of our track meets. She always was faster than me, but we were like neck and neck. And my coach told me that she was going to the same college as me and was going to run. So I go out to the middle of the field. I start warming up next to her, and I go, "Oh, hey, I heard you were going to Mesa for running next year." And she goes, "Yeah." And I say, "Oh, we could be friends," and just like creepy, the most awkward person, but I don't skip a beat. Like, why do all the awkward stuff? That's not me. I'm not like the person to talk about the weather. And I'm pretty sure I've done that with a lot of relationships of mine, of just, and the ones that hang, they take me for what I am, and the ones that don't, um, they, they don't. But it is funny because my circle, maybe I'm scare people off or something, because my circle is much smaller, and I have, but I do have similar to you where, a couple weeks ago, my roommate from college, I hadn't seen her since my wedding day, and that was 10 years ago. And I got
Mm.
to see her and be with her. And, we check in on each other. We follow each other on social media. One of the reasons I do like social media. So we had like the general idea of where our lives were and what we were doing, but we spent time doing a little bit of catch up. And I mean, 10 years is a long time for the little details. And I was only supposed to be
Yeah.
there a couple hours, and I stayed for forever. And it just felt good, like we just caught up, and it was back to where we were 10 years ago. And I have many friends like that. And I don't really have the energy or in my go, go, go mode for someone to make me feel guilty that I can't keep up with them every day.
Hmm.
And, you know, many phases of our lives, we are like that. But I don't, what am I trying to say? I don't want it to feel like I don't have time and energy for these great people. Just life is crazy. And sometimes I need to step back and put them first. But I'm trying.
Yeah, I feel like the voice memo has really changed my relationships with some of my closest friends because I don't have time to like text out like the big things that feel big, because it turns
Yeah.
into a novel. Um, and so it's just been really nice. Like sometimes it feels like a little treat to be like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom so I can listen to my voice memo from my friend, and
Mm.
helps kind of recharge because it's hard to like keep playing catch up with missing phone calls for especially when you have small kids around or you're running around a lot doing stuff like that. So the voice memo has really helped keep in contact with some people, which I have really enjoyed.
So, do you think any of this changes for sisters? Like for us?
In what way do you think?
Well, I just mean, you know, some of our pillars don't align and we live very differently. When you talk about energy, matching our energies and what your life looks like versus what my life looks like, sometimes our energy isn't the same. Our proximity is definitely not the same.
Hmm.
Um, our timing, I mean, that probably was one of our rockiest times is when we were at different phases of life. Um, but does the sisterhood bond hold you closer because it's blood and give you more
Yeah.
patience, or would, or just,
I don't
well,
know.
that's
I
what,
don't know
good
about more
answer.
patience. I don't know about more patience, but yes, I mean for sure. You are my sister forever, so like it or not, you're sticking with me. But yeah, definitely. And I do wonder this too, is like just because you're sisters, does that mean that you have to be friends? I mean, your sisters and friends, I feel like that's like a bonus. Like, I don't think all sisters have to be friends.
No, I agree. When those pillars shift and you're not in, I mean, okay, so then with the let them theory that you haven't read yet,
Hmm.
but you will, I know
Yeah.
you will. But you know the general concept of it, right? Like
Yeah.
let others be, let them do the things that they need to do, but then also like you get to decide on how you deal with that.
Yeah.
And how you respond to that. So like same with sisters, like you have to let your sisters be who they are, but if it doesn't match all of those pillars or at least one of those pillars, then you can just let them be your sister but not feel the pressure to be their friend. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah. And I think with, there's a quote I heard recently that was saying, you're they were talking about like relationships and like women like always feeling like they have to make other people comfortable around them, and so
Mm,
they were talking about, oh, you're really mean, and the person was like, I'm not mean, I'm just not actively making you comfortable. And I think that that is a lot about boundary setting. So with other relationships in your life, and maybe not necessarily your friends, but like anybody who you allow into your life, that you don't have to always make somebody else feel comfortable around you, that you can just like authentically be. And so, yeah, I think that with you being a sister, I don't have to always make you feel comfortable around me. You know what I mean? Like I can just like
yeah.
be me and you can just
Hmm.
be you. And um and so I think that's a little bit of maybe like an added benefit and also maybe a negative of being a sister and a friend.
Yeah, I think that sisterhood comes with that too, though, because you have these friends. I mean, look at the friends that you made in college, and they started their relationship with you in college. But I saw everything from birth. You know, like I got to see you grow into the human that you are and the human that you're changing. And so your sister, your sibling, gets all of the back. And they're the one
Mm.
person or the people that get all of that. And then the people that come into your life in those different phases of life are like making their decisions and matching their energy based off of where you are now. Where I had the luxury of watching you go through all these things that we've been through in life and understand you at a deeper level of, okay, well, you're being a brat, but I know why. Like, and I mean,
Yeah, or
when
you're not being
you,
you, you know, like, or, and I
right.
think that that's the kind of the thing that's hard with sisters is like maybe you feel like you're trying to change. And
Mm,
so you're trying to shed this old skin, like you didn't like who you were before, and you're trying to cultivate this new energy, this new person. And then you have a sister who's like, hey, hello, that's not you. So I think that that
yeah.
can feel hard sometimes is when you're trying to grow and there's other people in your life who you can't get rid of because they're your family. So trying to grow like
Yeah.
that, I think can be difficult.
Yeah. So is there a decision to be made like with certain friendships that you have to let go forever? And I mean going back to friendships, but like if someone doesn't match those pillars and stuff and you're drifting away, does that mean that you let go forever and you just cut off? Or you just wait till those pillars align? Or yeah, I'm just wondering if like if someone out there that's listening is wondering if like they should hold on to this friendship that they're putting so much energy into, or if they should outgrow it, or if they just set it aside.
I have had friendships that I have fallen out with. I had one really, really good friend, and I think, kind of all of the pillars fell out for us. Like, I wasn't living where she was. She was entering a new phase of life that I wasn't ready for. And I had feelings about her phase of life that didn't match her feelings of her phase of life. So um, there was just not much that we could connect on. even though I really wanted to, like I really was wanted to try, but it just wasn't landing. We could not meet, on a common ground at all. And it was really hard, but and there was it was a relationship that just kind of like drifted. Like there wasn't, a big
Wasn't like a
fallout or
big
anything like that.
fallout.
No, we just drifted apart, and I really ached for that friendship to come back for a long time, but it just, it feels weird. Like once you've had that distance and you don't know how to kind of bridge that back. And I honestly can't even remember how it happened, but we're really good friends again now. And it just took time
It
and
came back.
giving her the space to work through what she needed to work through, which really killed me that like I couldn't be there for that, but it wasn't my place. It was
Yeah.
something that she had to work on and I had to evaluate, my own part of it. And that was something that we, worked on separately, but not even for each other. You know what I mean? Like it was just a phase of life that we
Yeah.
couldn't be there for each other. And eventually it came back around, and I'm just really grateful for her in my life. And I think we will be friends forever now, like really good friends forever. So I think it's worth it if those friendships do matter to you, to allow that other person to grow without harboring like resentment or anything like that. And if it's really meant to be this like really great friendship and you guys still share values, I think it'll come back. What
Yeah.
about you?
I could agree with that. I was trying to think of like what friends, and there's one that I completely put out of my mind because there was a big falling out and there was something like super dramatic that happened. And um, I think that we tried to communicate like a few years later, um, and it just was too scorched. And I can't speak for this person, but I can speak for myself that it was worth letting go. And I don't, like I said, it took me until literally like this minute to think of that friendship because I have just let it go and have moved forward, and it hasn't. I mean, there are times when something happens and I remember um like the fun times and stuff, but I am still scorched by it. And if I were to ever see this person and run into her, probably like a very cordial, "Hey, how are you?" but no um no deeper, which is saying something when Sierra doesn't get deep. So um
Yeah.
I think that either one is right. And like you said, if it matches and it's meant to be, like you can pick to put more energy back into that, or it is okay, and I'm giving myself permission that it is okay to let things go, let friendships go, and move
Yeah,
forward.
definitely. Because I mean, on the same side, I've had that same situation happen with other friends, and I'm just like, I can only allow so much energy to expel onto these friendships. And I don't have a lot of friendships that aren't super authentic, like good, bad,
Mhm.
ugly. We're really good friends. And I don't have a lot of space now for people who are just kind of like surface level anymore.
My adult friends that I made when I moved out of our hometown and into a space where I had to make friends, which you've had to do so many times, but I have just recently had to do it. I have like Kyle and I were talking about how some of these friendships that we've made are lifers, like we
Mhm.
just cherish and love them, and they are lifers. And then you get surprised with lifers. It was so funny. I went to Monster Trucks last night with Alexa, and I
Mhm.
shared with her last night. I was like, I told her, I said, Alexa, you finally moved into my friendship. Like when I talk to my family about you, I don't have to say, you remember the kid's babysitter? Like, she has graduated into like an official friend that my family knows that I'm talking about. But that again was a our pillars just align it. But she lives far away, and we just make it happen because our energy is something that we cherish about each other. So, but what I was gonna say was, do you watch Secret Life of Mormon Wives?
No,
Oh, okay. Well, then what I'm gonna
I
say
know.
doesn't gonna make sense. So,
I know. I wanted to. It's on my list. I don't have Hulu, so Just hasn't happened for me.
It's on
But
Peacock
go
too.
ahead. Maybe
No,
somebody listening
it's on
will
Hulu.
be able to identify with you.
Yeah, I know one of your friends that will,
Yes.
hopefully. Because she was into it when it first started. But I was just gonna say, if Taylor and Miranda can break up and make themselves back together because they had such a strong friendship beforehand,
Yeah.
then I think that the common folk can decide what is worth, what friendships are worth it and what aren't. So,
Yeah.
but again,
I think this is a good segue into our third segment of let's reframe that, because I think that I have a friendship that was just for a season. So I want to know, some friendships are just for a season and that's not a failure. Would you agree or disagree?
I agree with that. I do feel, I mean, I, as a teacher, I look at my little bodies, my little third graders, and what they're going through and their friendships, and it's little things, but to them it's big things. And all you want to, and even the older kids, middle schoolers, you want to tell them that this drama and this stuff that they're going through isn't going to matter in 10 years, because those friendships are just for a season. But those little bodies, you can't. But I do think that follows. Like, I do think that there are friendships made for a season, but that doesn't mean that you did anything wrong for letting that season go.
Yeah. Like, I had a friendship in my early 20s who I met from, I bought her table on Craigslist. And when I went to go pick it up, she was going through a breakup at the same time that I was. And so we just had like the most fun, like just doing whatever we wanted to. We even went on a trip to Florida together, just the two of us. And she
Oh,
was a
yeah.
friend who was so much fun and such what I needed at that phase of life for me. And, we still like follow each other on social media and stuff like that. But, we kind of grew apart from each other and I still think of her very fondly. But yeah, we just aren't close anymore. And that's okay. And I know that she's okay with that too. But it doesn't mean that if I didn't see her out somewhere, or magically cross paths with her, that I wouldn't be thrilled.
So, does distance always mean disloyalty?
Physical distance or emotional distance?
Either one. I mean,
No,
I feel like
I
it's
don't
easy
think
to say that physical distance doesn't mean disloyalty.
so. Yeah, and emotional distance, I don't think so. I think we're all adults now. And so
Mm-hmm.
if like you just got to take care of yourself. And so if you don't have the emotional bandwidth for somebody else, it doesn't always necessarily mean it's about that person. It may be me. It probably is me. So,
Probably. Okay, so tell me if you agree with this one. You're always allowed to change, but your circle will adjust or it won't. Do you agree with that?
yes, absolutely. I think we should all give each other space and grace to grow and change. And
Well, I think, yeah, what you just said, growing or changing is growing. And I feel like you should support that. And if your circle doesn't, then they're not meant for you.
I do think that there are some times where you're like the person that's kind of getting left behind, that that can feel really hard, you know, if somebody
Yeah.
is changing and growing in a different direction and you are just kind of still in the same place. So I do think that it may be hard for that person, but the person growing and changing, they are like, let me live. What's your problem? So I think it's
Yeah.
hard to also have grace for the person that is kind of being left behind.
So let's reframe that, or like that concept that people think. Support can look like cheering from the sidelines. It doesn't, you don't have to be running beside all the time. Like, you can support someone who's growing and changing, like you were just saying, and hopefully be okay with them growing.
All right, hit me with your
Okay.
3 friendship green flags.
Ooh. Do you have some? I don't.
The first
Hmm.
one that pops in my head is must love coffee.
Um,
Yeah.
yes. Green flag can handle humor. It's funny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, funny is one of mine too. Must be funny. Must love coffee. Must uh be okay with mess,
Sporadic
disorganization.
texting. Yes, I agree with that. Doesn't have to be a coffee lover. Some of my best friends are tea lovers, but um, I'd say the same. More maybe wine. No, you can be my friend without loving wine.
Yeah, I mean they can, but it's a green flag. Like, oh, you like wine? Good.
Yeah. Can I say must love working out?
Yeah, definitely. Whew,
That's where all
glad I
my
check
friends
all your
come from now.
boxes.
Yeah. Same. I do like
Well,
coffee.
that was the advice that you gave me, is like finding your community, and a lot of times some sort of exercise does bring community. That's why I tried looking for friends at the yoga studio. Did not go well for me originally, but I'm willing to try again.
Hmm. Well, and that's why I'm super obnoxious about CrossFit is just the community of CrossFit. I mean, I've forced people to be my friend there. So I just say we could be friends. And then they're like, yes or no. So it's like sending a little love letter. Can we be friends? Check the box. I should do that with all my CrossFit friends and see if they're truly my friends or not. All right, let's move quickly into our last segment of cis mail.
All right.
Do you want to read our prompt that we got?
Yeah, I'll read it. Okay, this person wrote in and said, I've been friends with someone since high school, but lately it feels like we are not aligned. She makes little comments about my job and motherhood, and I leave every hangout feeling drained. Am I overthinking, or is it time to let it go? What would you say, sis?
I definitely don't think that you're overthinking. I think that you're just noticing. I'm maybe try a conversation before the official let go, and that alignment might just need that open conversation. But I feel like a practical exit strategy or that could also lead to a reset in the friendship.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no time for an emotional drain. So if that is pulling on my already limited energy, it's hard enough to get me out of the house to begin with. So if it's going to drain me even further, there's no way. But maybe, like, is this a play date, or are you guys hanging out by yourselves, or you're hanging out in like a social setting? So maybe we need to like mix it up a little bit. But if it's like
Mhm.
they're a big complainer or something like that, and you're like, I'm just here to relax, and you're not complaining, or maybe you need to vent and that person is not allowing you to vent, maybe, like you said, needs to have a conversation first. But definitely a big no-no for me is that's my friendship red flag, is an energy drain. So I think you should be searching for relationships that help fill you up and help you be able to be a better person, better mother, better partner.
I agree. So, unfortunately, we're going to wrap up this episode. Key takeaways from today's episode is friendship isn't about growing at the same pace, it's about growing in the same direction, even if the steps look different.
Yeah, so send this episode to a friend who's in a totally different season, but you still love them for it. And you can listen to us on Zencaster, Spotify, watch us on YouTube. Apple Podcasts is coming soon. Follow us on Instagram, like us, and, send us maybe some of your friendship green flags. We'd love to hear them, or red flags. I love to hear a good red flag.
Yeah, thanks for listening to today's episode. Next week's episode, invisible load, shared or shouldered. Motherhood, marriage, and mental load, why women carry so much. Interesting. Let's dive into that next week.
2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, 2 weeks. Thank you for the correction.
Anytime.